Go.
In 3,
2, 1. Oh, get out of here. Get out of here, notifications. Here we go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ring Post Radio Nights, the only show where, just like life, it never dies. I'm your host, Ryan Knightsey, and of course, it's Ring Post Radio Nights, folks at home. So grab a glass of wine, grab a rosé if you're feeling fancy, grab a white, grab a red, grab something a little bit stronger if you like. But it's Ring Post Radio Nights. Kick back your feet and enjoy the smooth soundings that is your host, Ryan Icy, and your co-host with the most toast, Scotty Edwards. Scotty, how you doing today on this beautiful Ring Post Radio Nights?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful. A lot of wrestling this weekend. There's always a lot of wrestling, though. So it's like next weekend's kind of a week off. And then after that.
And then all in.
And then all in. And then all out.
Yeah.
And a WWE pay-per-view? Question mark?
Yeah, first Saturday of September. Payback, yeah.
Yeah, so double hitter that weekend. So, we're good. There's a lot. But we're building towards all these big events, right? The G1's over.
Finally, we'll talk about that, of course.
Get to give our full thoughts on the G1 now that thing's over. I saw some people talk about like, oh, it's like here and there. It's like it just started yesterday. I was like, no, I never felt that for a moment. I was like, this tournament's never gonna end. But yeah, I'm doing good. I'm looking forward to talking about a little bit of everything today, pretty much.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff to talk about, kind of all over the place, kind of scattershot today. We're, of course, going to talk about the G1 CLIMAX finals. We're going to talk about Stardom X Stardom, those two events that took place today. We're going to preview Multiverse United 2, the Impact New Japan co-promoted show happening next week. We're going to preview...
Most typed match featuring Stardom talent, so none of these are two promotions.
Sure, well, there's Impact talent in there too. And it's a classic, and it's a legendary four-way. We all know this. All the legendary women's four-way matches.
Protect everyone.
We'll preview the All-Star Junior Festival. That looked like a pretty good show up until the latest announcement.
I have some hot takes on All-Star Junior Festival, the idea.
And I think and of course we're going to talk about some of the news that broke regarding the WWE UFC merger that's coming down the pipe. We'll talk about the timeline with that whole thing, and of course talk about the biggest news in sports this past week, which is the UFC lawsuit. And how that is proceeding and what that sort of looks like for WWE. And I'll tell you this much, Scotty, it looks like MLW's got a chance. They got a real shot, if you can believe it. But of course, we'll get to all of that and more.
Isn't your favorite company running a big show soon?
The NWA, MLW, you got to pick one.
I couldn't tell you if the MLW... for some reason, I have to hear about the NWA once in a while.
I haven't been talking about the NWA in like a year.
Sure you have. Yeah, because you're watching all their shows in secret. But, yeah, more WWE legal stuff. Nothing excites me more than more WWE legal stuff.
Where is this NLW pay-per-view? Not this weekend, but next weekend is when that is.
MLW has another pay-per-view?
No, sorry, NWA. That's what I meant to say.
MLW. They're running against All In?
Technically, yes.
We have RevPro too that weekend. Eh?
Yes, we do. And if I'm not mistaken, I actually think MLW have... Yes, they do have an event, a big show, September 3rd, Fury Road. They are up against Payback. So, yeah.
Not a real company. Okay.
Actually, no, Payback's September 2nd. September 3rd, they're up against All Out. My apologies.
Oh, Jesus.
I don't know
That's
what's
true.
better. I don't know what's better for them, but yes, that is your quick little updates on MLW and the NWA. But we're not here talking about that. We did have a big old conversation last week about the all in conversation. Now it's kind of sort of off the boards here. We did have a big old conversation about all in last week, the women's division as well, and then we got some more announcements. So I just want to give a quick update on that as well, Scotty. How are you feeling? We actually got some proper matches announced so far, but there's a lot of other news that kind of behind the scenes matchmaking that's sort of broken in the past week as well, that it's got everyone in tizzy. It was a big talking point over Twitter.
Nice word.
Uh,
Nice word, Tizzy.
You're welcome. I always like to throw in a tizzy now and then. So let me just get a very quick update on this all-in discussion. Are you feeling better about it? You feeling worse? You feeling the same?
Okay, so I'm definitely feeling better about it, like overall, because last week we had nothing.
Correct.
We had, what, 2 matches maybe.
we had some supposed matches.
So like I definitely feel better because two of the matches that they've added include Aussie Open versus MJF and Adam Cole. I think that's exciting. In a pre-show match, so it should be really good, right? Even though I'm always a bit weary of the double wrestle in one night matches, you know, especially when it's like kick off the night and then hey, we're gonna have these 2 main event the night later on, because things happen.
That's fair.
But that's exciting. It's an exciting pre-show match that makes you want to watch at 12 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. British Standard Time.
Yeah, and it's a shame that the best tag team in the world is on the pre-show. But hey, they're Ring of Honor talent, so I get it, I guess.
Getting the graphic for the Bucks and FTR was like an exciting moment because it's like, all right, finally we have like this. I was saying this to Ryan before the show even started, how what this show was missing was like a match that when All In was announced, you would expect to be on this card. Like everything else has been either built through story or stuff like that. What just makes sense? Like what's a big time locked in match you want to put on that card? It's that. It almost should main event. I know it's not gonna main event. So overall I'm feeling better, but I'm still like, I think we're trying to protect All Out too much. And like the mindset that I had was within 1 week, you could build up matches for that show based off of what happened at All In. Instead of doing the, of course, reported Omega, Ibushi, Hangman versus Takeshita and the Bang Bang Gang, you could have easily just did. I don't know. Like I just don't know because like I would have just had Omega and Takeshita on the show because Kenny Omega in a big singles match at All In, I feel like is more fitting of AEW
Sure.
than anything else. And I know some people are like, well, the main event of the last All In was a trios match. And I was like, uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
And your point? And I was like, do you remember like one of the big reasons people were excited for that show? Because Kenny Omega had a singles match, not a trios match, a singles match. So there's still a lot of room, and I'm hoping that besides that match, we're adding, we'll add CM Punk, Samoa Joe. I'm going to assume Jericho and Ospreay is still very likely, but I need some more because I'm looking at this card right now. It just miss. I think it's missing one more banner type match.
Yeah, I think like in the company, like the idea of Osprey Jericho kind of seems like a dream match scenario. I remember reading somewhere that apparently there was another conversation about Danielson versus Omega on this show, but obviously that got canned. And even then, it's just
hurts.
yeah, so it's just sort of like it doesn't feel like there's enough. So I tweeted this out when everyone was quote unquote in a tizzy. Um,
Mhm.
when they were talking about this elite versus gold Bullet Club Gold, which Bullet Club Gold, by the way, just top tier.
The MVPs of the company are arguably as of the last couple months.
Yes.
Ever since Collision started, I think they're the MVPs.
Agreed. I'm greatly enjoying them. Their last promo thing with Juice Robinson, I tweeted that was the most BTE skit thing they've ever done on AEW television. Anyways, when everyone was kind of complaining about that, I was just sort of saying like, you know, I sort of forget my point what I was going to say here, but it's still the idea of like you have another pay per view afterwards, so you kind of like screwed yourself there, and because you have to like say you can't do all your big matches at All In, you have to do it also at All Out because you're trying to sell two pay per views at this point.
Yep.
The whatever happened with the streaming stuff kind of screwed up this whole thing. Supposedly,
Yeah.
there's some streaming stuff that fell apart, and then you had like you lost any booking you could have done because the elite were negotiating their contracts, after Blood and Guts, it was kind of just like they were in limbo for a little bit, so you couldn't really build. You lost like 2 weeks of storytelling you could have done.
I'm sure they knew by then though that those contracts were going to be accepted.
Sure, but there is
Because
still
like they had
something.
been talking for months. So
Supposedly, yeah.
like you have to have an idea, right?
hmm
They're like, oh, this might work out.
Yeah, I agree with that, but obviously, like there was some time taken off, and now that you're back, you have to refigure these things and have to reload these things. I just think everything, you got injuries, you got poorly timed stuff, and it's kind of missing. That's the inevitable point was. It was that I don't. My biggest gripe with it so far is that it feels like it's missing the specialness that the first All In had, where it was just All In because we're going to
It's
go.
missing Cody Rhodes. You're so right.
You're exactly
You're
right.
so
No,
right.
you know what? I'll amend that. You're missing Nick Aldis. That's what we're missing here. Um, it's more so that like I mean, even then, that was an NWA title match, right? Like that sort of idea of like it's not just All In because they went for a 10K arena. It's All In because it felt like the all of the indies were coming together. NWA was being represented, Lucha being represented, women's wrestling, and it felt like the pantheon of four-way women's matches. All women's matches were represented. It felt like everything was all coming together, and here it's just like it just feels like another AEW pay per view card right now, and it just sort of feels like it's missing some specialness. Like when people thought of like Mercedes coming in, I think that was part of it. Is that has that specialness, and having a strong women's title match, New Japan strong women's title match, kind of would work and make sense for we're all coming together. Like it almost feels like All In to me in this day and age should be that cross promoted New Japan, Impact, AAA, maybe not AAA and New Japan, I guess that's difficult, but it should be, sort of like here's everyone we're working with, and we're all coming together to put on this show in front of 80,000 strong. That's what it sort of feels like the specialness of All In is missing. Um, and right now it just feels like an AEW pay per view, and it's just like, well, by now that you exist, you've hurt All Out as well, and so it's diluted the weekend or diluted the week. Really, is what I feel like.
I think I'm just missing singles matches.
I mean, that's also true.
Like to me, singles matches are the big matches.
Agreed.
I love tag team wrestling. That's why I'm very excited about FTR and the Bucks. That's probably my most anticipated match. But it's missing big time singles matches. Like a lot of what All In was Aldis and Cody, Kenny and Penta, Okada and Redacted.
MJF and Matt Cross, you can even say.
Yeah, there were a lot of singles matches on there, and I just feel like we've settled for it being so many tags. And listen, I know the tags are going to kick ass. I'm not an idiot. Like, I know how AEW trios matches go.
Yeah.
Like, the trios match I just talked about, probably going to be fantastic.
Yep.
One of the best matches at the last pay-per-view was a big person tag. I'm not crazy. Like, I know these are going to be good.
Yeah.
It's just this show should be better. Like, for example, Shingo Takagi is going to be there. I know he's going to be there.
He's there on the
wrestling
weekend.
the night before.
Mm-hmm.
Why is he not just on the card? Right? Maybe he is. Maybe he's that other guy with Eddie Kingston and Orange Cassidy that we're not naming. That's always possible.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In what seems to be coming together, because they were saving Moxley and Eddie for the week after. But why does All Out feel like a bigger card?
I mean, what
are
we?
All Out's starting to feel like a bigger show to me.
What do we know about All Out? Let's say this. What do we know about
All Omega?
Supposedly, of course.
Oh, I'm going supposedly, but
sure.
It seems like this is the way we're going. Eddie and Mox,
Luchasaurus, Darby Allin.
Yeah, that's nasty. Powerhouse Hobbs and Miro, another singles match, big singles match for two guys that have been big company guys. I'm sure there will be something with MJF and Adam Cole.
MJF Punk. Yeah, it is Chicago.
They would have to really kick into gear there. Overall, the biggest problem,
kicking the full gear,
is they're taking away from each other.
Yeah.
These are supposed to be your two biggest shows of the year, because I always thought All Out was bigger than Double or Nothing. I know some people feel, but like All Out's the big show in Chicago. That felt like their big show.
Yes.
And now you have All In taking from that.
That's why I feel like if you did more of a show with us and all of our partners, have a Rev Pro match in there on a 0 hour, have a New Japan match in there, have a Impact match. If you did that,
I wouldn't do that in the arena though. I wouldn't do that in the biggest arena possible. I would highlight AEW in the best possible way.
Sure. But my point there is that if you did that, you would then be able to save more matches for All Out for AEW specifically.
I repeat, maybe we should just not book these 1 week apart.
I think in hindsight, Tony Khan greatly did not want that to happen.
If All In was MJF and Adam Cole, Omega and Takeshita, Moxley and Kingston, Joe and Punk, FTR and Young Bucks, we wouldn't be saying anything.
Sure.
That's a huge card. That is a huge card that's fitting of the big arena show. And I am not, I've said this to people this past week, I am not registering in my brain yet that a company that isn't WWE is running a big-ass football stadium.
Yeah.
And is packing it. I've yet to have that
and breaking
in my brain.
Breaking all-time records.
Yeah, so like when the show actually turns on the 27th, I'm just gonna be sit there in amazement. And listen, I know I'm probably gonna love the show.
Oh yeah,
the crowd's gonna be unbelievable,
and it's gonna be great.
It's going to lift it up. I just hope they have a little. I hope they have something up their sleeve.
Yeah. I will also say though, I think all of this as well comes down to AEW's thoughts and direction of not pushing a pay-per-view until like less than a month before.
Yeah, absolutely.
And supposedly that works for them, and it doesn't matter to me because ultimately you and I are watching the show regardless, so it's hard to account for that, see if it actually works. But I don't know, man. I mean, it's gonna be great. I mean, I don't know. At the end of the day, it's like it doesn't fucking matter because it's gonna be a great show, So it's like,
right?
It's kind of a wash at this point. It's just I have to just accept my overlords of none of this preamble stuff matters because it's gonna be great, and until it starts being great is when they can start actually being, pushing themselves better. But right now, until they have a bad pay-per-view, which they kind of had, mostly a bad pay-per-view, I thought. Well, not mostly. I forget which pay-per-view. I'm trying to remember. There was a pay-per-view where it was like mostly bad except for the last two matches, or it was mostly good except the last two matches. Was this year? I think it was Double or Nothing, or I think you're right. Yeah, but even then, they bounce back with Forbidden Door. Until they have like a string of these things, it's not. They're gonna be fine. So it doesn't matter. Like at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Let's move on. Let's talk about the UFC lawsuit that kind of put together. What's that? You got a little update?
Oh, did you see this daily update from, I think it was Meltzer.
Daily update from
Oh yeah, it
Meltzer.
is 38 minutes ago.
All right.
Here we go. Regarding questions about CM Punk off-screen promo on Adam Page, this was not storyline or anything like that. Page was actually sent to Greensboro last night to do a pre-tape interview backstage for Wednesday's Dynamite show. And when he got there, was told that he would have to do it away from the Coliseum and not to go to the show. He wasn't booked to appear in Collision itself. This was not the Jim Ross interview with Kenny Omega that was taped, but not in Greensboro last night for Wednesday, which will announce the Omega match for All In. Punk got a mixed reaction during the show itself, but when he ran down Page for no apparent reason, he was booed heavily. Yada yada yada.
So
it seems like
the Punk promo.
To go there.
The Punk promo was not planned. That's what he said.
Yeah.
Or at the very least which kind of coincides. So you have the VOW report saying where it was, it was planned, but not really what the content was. Is like better to ask for forgiveness than permission. So in that sense, that kind of correlates that the content of his promo was not planned. But then also Page was there in the area to film something, but not at the arena. That is weird. Which also that kind of ties into. It kind of feels like that ties into, if this is leading somewhere, why would Page need to be at the Collision things? Maybe we are going Page Punk down the line. Maybe that's more.
That would be crazy.
There's more fuel to that fire. All out Chicago. Maybe instead of MJF versus Punk, it's Page versus Punk. That would be crazy.
I mean, them re-signing changes everything, right? Because
agreed,
they had their shot to leave.
Yeah. And it's obviously, it's obviously something that Punk wants to do is these matches. So
I don't think he wants to do anything with Hangman, truthfully. But.
Well, then you got to stop bringing him up.
I agree. I 100% agree.
That's what I mean. I'm supposing that he still wants to do it if he keeps bringing it up. And until he stops, until he starts focusing on Joe or Starks or Jay White. Yeah, exactly. Well, let's talk about it. UFC lawsuit on WWE. So there's been a long-standing, if you don't know, there's been a long-standing lawsuit pending for the UFC regarding sort of an antitrust lawsuit for, I forget the years, but for a large section, I think it was 1,200 or 12,000 fighters or something crazy like that, for a range of years. And basically, the argument being that there is an antitrust lawsuit against the UFC for basically monopolizing the industry. Now, yes, there are arguments against it where hey, they're not a monopoly. There's Bellator and there's all these other instances of the UFC. But as the court filing recently this week stated, it's not necessarily how other businesses can still succeed or not succeed outside of the UFC. It's more so the UFC using its power and leverage to hurt the other competition. So you have instances.
Very funny because they don't really have any, but that's fine.
Yes, but that's what the lawsuit is, or that's what the judge is believing in this case, is that we're trying to find whether or not the UFC is using their power and leverage to hurt other competition and also hurt the fighter's ability to make more money. So you have that sort of a court filing this past week. There's different instances where there's different instances where the court finds UFC uses, quote, ruthless coercive techniques to keep fighters from enjoying free agency. There are other quotes similar to that, different various clauses in UFC contracts. One that was a champions clause where if you win a championship anytime in the UFC, it adds that amount of that, whatever the length of that reign is added to the end of your contract. So you have a longer contract if you win a championship. Just some insane stuff like that. Same thing of all of this you can find with at Eric McGracken. He's been a long time combat sports lawyer, and he's been the guy looking over all this stuff and tweeting it out. So he's saying, also if UFC is not a monopoly because there are other MMA promoters, he says that's not how antitrust law works. It's do they have so much power they can unilaterally set elite fighter pay in the US? The court is saying yes, that they have an unquestionable concentration of power. It's a double whammy for the UFC is that it could force them to pay billions, either in a settlement for all these fighters or by ultimately losing the case. Obviously, they can afford to do that because the UFC have a bunch of money. It can provide injunctive relief so they can stop doing all that anti-competitive stuff. So the UFC would have to change how it works basically as a business to avoid stuff happening like this again. So the question is obviously how this all affects the WWE lawsuit that's currently pending with MLW. I think there are various factors. One, one of the more obvious ones, the WWE is currently merging with the UFC to form TKO Group. So having two sort of monopoly antitrust law cases currently pending for merging companies, I don't think helps the monopoly discussion that much. So that's an interesting one. Obviously, we talked previously about how Jerry McDivitt, longtime lawyer for WWE, is gone. So have a great lawyer no longer can fight against this case. Obviously, if this UFC lawsuit goes through, it sets a precedent for the WWE MLW case that I think personally, without being a lawyer, that helps MLW a lot. That's a strong precedent to create. Whether or not WWE uses its market share value as a predator against smaller businesses. Now, AEW has gone the rise, but we know of plenty of stories where WWE does not takes immoral pathways to stop AEW. Arguably immoral, but more moral, I guess. But on the other hand, there's also, if the lawsuit doesn't go through, there's the ability for a settlement. Well, that also kind of sets a precedent for WWE wrestlers, perhaps, wanting to also sue the WWE for a similar suit and get a settlement where they can all get a bunch of money out of it. So it's kind of, in my estimation, it feels like a possible lose-lose scenario for WWE, unless they can squeak something out where they aren't going to be found with that. But there is obviously, as you and I know as wrestling fans, a lot of instances where WWE has done things throughout the decades against their competition. So it's interesting at the very least. It's definitely a big, impactful news for the UFC, but this has far-reaching implications for wrestling, far-reaching implications for WWE, a company that is currently merging with the UFC. So, Scotty, with all that preamble out of the way, what are you thinking about this lawsuit? What are you thinking about WWE's chances against the MLW? Will the WWE stop as MLW never stops?
It all just the thing when like these lawsuits come out, especially because this one's more connected to the UFC, but does have potential implications. Like as I've said with this MLW one, originally I said, but now that there's since then, since the initial one, there's obviously been enough traction that it keeps going. It's still around. It's sticking around. I think the more things like this happen, the realer it gets. Does that make sense? Like the better chance something happens. I don't know what something is. Like I don't know what MLW will gain out of this. Like they're not going to get a TV deal out of it. I promise. They're not going to get. They're not going to end up on Tubi. But it can change. It can change business practices that have long been part of WWE. I mean, this is just one of those times where it actually bit them because of sloppy work. Arguably, they didn't really protect it.
A sloppy shop, if you
So,
will.
yeah, well, we know WWE is a sloppy shop. But like I said, it's going to be wait and see until we get to the next step. But this is huge, because if it's happening to the UFC, it absolutely should be happening to WWE.
Yeah, I mean, and and obviously it started with WWE, and I think the judge in WWE case was obviously, I think, waiting for a ruling for the UFC thing here, um, and probably presumably knew about it. And he is obviously the judge in that MLW case has definitely been thinks that there is something here, and now with this UFC stuff. There's probably going to be a lot of movement now. If I was WWE, I would be a little sweating because you're right. It's like the outcomes of this is millions upon millions of dollars out of cash, either through settlement or a loss in the trial by WB. A win, which I think is in its own right would be dangerous for wrestling. Or
Mhm.
also like a loss, and they have to make sure they don't do this again, or at least get caught, so that it would potentially allow things like MLW or WWE or wrestlers themselves to be able to move around better, get different contracts and stuff, get arenas and advertise these arenas earlier. All of these sort of current predatory sort of business practices by WWE. Um, it it it, I don't know, man. I think WWE has a solid shot of losing this lawsuit against the MLW. And when we heard about this a year ago, you and I were kind of just like, "Oh, whatever, it's the MLW thing. It's an interesting lawsuit, but I don't know how many legs they have." And as time goes on, it feels closer and closer like, "Damn, man, I think MLW has a solid shot here. I cannot believe it." Um, but yeah,
There's a conversation at the very least,
oh yeah.
more than there ever. Like, I think we all just were like, whatever,
Yeah.
like it's like, all right, cool. But now it should be brought up.
Yeah.
Now it should be looked at. Now there's something there.
Yeah, you have the judge of the case saying, "I think there's something here. I just needed more evidence," and then they get more evidence. Then you have this the update with the UFC lawsuit where it looks real bad for the UFC. I don't like I that's this is a precedent sort of being set that can easily apply to WWE. And I'll also just say this: there's another aspect, and obviously this term is being floated around via different EVPs and different real world champions. The conversation of a union in wrestling. Obviously, UFC fighters don't have a union either. And a lot of their sort of contract clauses and all this sort of stuff, if they if the union existed for them, they wouldn't have these sort of contracts. They
Right.
would have been better protected. Wrestlers, if a union for the wrestlers existed, they would have better contracts and make sure they get their money that they're owed. It's the same thing, obviously, as a IOC member. I'm supporting the SAG and WGA. That's kind of what they're fighting for right now. Is that these unions are there to support these people, so that they don't get abused by these various companies. Um, or used as pawns in this weird chess game that is wrestling conglomerates. So, as a union member myself, I would love to see a wrestling union pop up at some point. Um, I am fearful that a UFC lawsuit or settlement will go through and wrestlers won't do anything about it, leaving money on
Yep.
the table for themselves. But I mean, yeah, it's something that a lot can change. Not just this merger between these two companies, but just how they act and how people can make money, and maybe sets this table up for um, sets the table up for unions down the line. I mean, you could do like wrestler and fighter union. Like you could totally do that. I think they should probably be two separate unions, but you could totally do one giant union. There's no reason not to. It'd be interesting. It would be certainly interesting. I'm excited. I'm very excited. Like the next 5 years is very interesting in a legal standpoint to me. I'm very excited to see how it plays out.
There's always a conversation about the union. Will it actually happen? Will it not? It's at least being brought up more and more,
Yeah.
and I think that's at least at least something to note.
Totally agree. And there was also speaking about this TKO group merger, there was some additional news this past week about the WWE and UFC merging together to form TKO group, we got sort of the from Endeavor's earnings release. They estimate that the expected closing of the merger is going to happen mid to late September. So we're talking about a month and a half now. WWE will be merged with the UFC. They also announced in the new filings what the board members will look like for the new TKO group. Of course, you got Vincent K. McMahon in there. And he's going to still, by the way, I believe Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics also put this together. He's still going to have a lot of the voting power in this new board. Shocked, I'm sure. He still has a lot of voting power. Of course, you have Ari Emanuel. Nick Khan is also in there. Steve Koonin. These are all WWE people. But the one interesting...
What am I going to do for Vince to just go away? Huh? What do I got to do?
Well, I'm glad you brought it up, because one person... Now, there is an empty seat at this board right now, but one person that is currently not named as a board member that's seemingly getting kicked out of the room is one Paul Levesque Triple H getting kicked out. At one point in time, this guy and his wife, who has fallen off the face of the earth, were the people next in line for WWE and for Vince McMahon. And now, one of them, the daughter, is completely kicked out of the company, and the other kind of got demoted and got pulled back in to be the creative head, but more of like a creative figurehead for the most part, and is now supposedly no longer going to be a part of the board of this new company, losing out more job, more money. Well, I guess board members don't really make money, but more say and power within this company. Will Vince McMahon ever leave? I don't know anymore. No. At one point, the track was set, and then the track exploded like a 1920s railroad station where you just pull a dynamite tube down and then the train tracks explode. It's just like this whole thing has fallen apart for Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. And they're Triple H no longer board member supposedly in a month.
He's a big Ozzy Osbourne fan, right?
Triple H?
Yeah.
Supposedly.
Yeah, because there's a song where it's going off the rails. Yeah, I think he's gonna go off the rails very soon. I don't know. WWE's a shit show. What do you want me to say? Like Vince in power until he dies, and I think we accepted that years ago.
We accepted that, but we also understood that we knew that this plan B was in motion, right? We knew that like this was getting set up. You know what I mean? And then ever since he did not sign the Young Bucks, it's been hell on earth for the Levesque household.
Yeah. It's just so funny, like all of this, because there's a conversation to be had. Like a lot of people want to give him credit for like this latest boom, and I think like there is reason to give some credit, but obviously the bloodline isn't his story. Hell, it's not even Vince's story. I saw the report Sean Ross Sapp put out. It's Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman's story. Mm-hmm. They just get to control it as long as they want, and everyone's going to eat it up. So, like...
I would also say that another help for the WWE boom is Peacock.
Yeah.
And going on the Peacock...
That should go without saying.
And that's 100% a Nick Khan move. Like what Triple H is what
he's on. That's why he's on the board, and Triple H isn't, man.
Nick Khan seemingly is turning around NXT faster than Triple H could.
Nick Khan was, well, to be fair, I don't think Triple H was trying to kill NXT like Vince was.
That's fair. That's a fair point.
So, you know, not that NXT was all too healthy before NXT 2.0 to begin with, but you get my point.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Triple H screwed. Like, what do you want me to say? I say he's screwed, but like he seems to have these second and third and fourth lives too. All of a sudden, that Vinnie Mac has. So is he really screwed right now? I don't know.
It's either you just keep holding on to hope, and that one day like Vince will die, and we have to turn to Triple H because he will be the guy that has the most experience, or you cut your losses, get out of this before you get fired somehow. And Vince McMahon totally takes the control of the book again.
Like, we
And
thought he
leave.
was out. We thought Triple H was out. And then he was right back in.
Mm-hmm.
Stephanie doesn't have as much luck. But you know what? The MLW thing probably isn't helping her cause.
No.
You know, Triple H, on the other hand, what helps him is that he is a good figurehead to have talk in front of all these people.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So that's what he's around for.
He's great at these press conferences, answering questions left and right.
And when Vinnie Mac eventually croaks in 100 years, maybe we'll have a conversation. But until then, can't wait till Roman Reigns is on the board. I mean, that's what the last spot's open for.
Look, man, like if you're okay, let's say Vince McMahon dies.
Vince McMahon, do you put Roman Reigns on the board?
Well, no. Well, here's the thing, Scotty. Let's say Vince McMahon dies tomorrow, right?
Sure.
And you had to put.
That'd be crazy if this happened.
I'll give you two options. I'll give you four options.
All right.
You can pick two people to run your company creatively moving forward. Paul Levesque. Bruce Pritchard. Kevin Dunn.
I don't like these options.
Or Paul Heyman.
Paul Heyman.
That's one. Who's number two?
I think Paul Heyman and Triple H would work best together, truthfully, out of those. Bruce Pritchard and Kevin Dunn's literally just keeping Vince in power.
Sure, that's fair.
Like they probably got something going on.
But wouldn't they be a good
recorded 10 years of storylines into a secret headset that they could just play? Oh, okay, we're gonna book. It doesn't matter. I don't like any of the options, truthfully.
I was about to say, wouldn't though Bruce Pritchard and Kevin Dunn be a perfect replacement for, post Vince McMahon's life?
There's nothing perfect about Kevin Dunn. I want you to know that right.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, my guy. It's don't know where we're going with this, but we'll see. We'll see, I guess.
We're in hell.
I guess that's true. That's probably allegedly, I guess. I don't know how to defend myself lawyer wise.
Allegedly
going to hell. Let's talk about it. The New Japan Pro Wrestling G1 Climax.
Finally, some real wrestling.
Real graps. It's finally come to a close this morning. If you have not seen it, spoilers here. Tetsuya Naito has won the G1 Climax 33. He has beaten Okada in the finals. He went on a streak of beating Tanahashi, then the new big bad Hikuleo, then Ospreay, and then Okada. The new big bad Hikuleo. Hey, I think it's actually not too bad.
You know all I hear in my head?
Yeah, what's that?
Naito. I think Ryogoku's still going. I think they are.
I think they are as well. So I think the best way to do it, I think now that we've seen all of the G1 Climax and know how it ended and all this other stuff, should we just go through and give our thoughts on sort of the wrestlers, or give our thoughts on this tournament as a whole? Go block by block.
And the final two nights, I guess. Those are probably important.
Yeah, I think when we bring up the wrestlers themselves.
If I could never talk about, a lot of this tournament ever again, I'd probably be very happy.
Well, you're about to talk about some of it.
I saw people giving grades to the tournament, and I was like, I hope a lot of people aren't affected by these past 2 days that felt like the G1, and you remember the slog that the rest of the tournament was when you're grading.
Yeah. Do you have a grade for the G1 Climax? If you had the grade 1 Climax? I know I feel like just based on online things, you are probably under most people's. You're probably under the average. That'd be my guess.
I'm probably a C-.
Yeah, I would set the average at probably a B.
Yeah, no. Let's not lie.
Yeah.
Two nights can't fix bad. Okay? And
definitely did help. It definitely does help, to be fair.
It does. Actually, last 2 nights probably bring me up to a C. Bordering on a C+, just because of those.
Sure.
But but there's just think about it this way: there are so many matches that are so missable. You don't need to watch. Like, I was thinking about this. How many matches do you think? Do you think there were more matches under 3.25 or over 3.25? Because I think for sure there were under.
I think for me, I probably had a little more over 3.25.
Yeah, maybe.
But
I mean,
there was
had I watched
I
every
definitely
match, it
flew out a
definitely would've went
couple.
under.
I definitely threw out a couple ones, 1.5s, 1.75, twos. I definitely threw out a couple of those.
I guess 3.25 might be a little too. I probably should have did 3.5.
Yeah, that one I would have a tough time answering.
Yeah, that'd probably be a better mark. 3.5, 3.25 was a little low.
So I think my overall thoughts on like the G1 Climax are that obviously with the time difference, it's affected things. I think like people like Okada, people that go for these big old epics, it makes their job harder. With these new people, you're showcasing them and you're trying to make them more believable and all set up all the other things. And I saw a lot of people, and probably you included, Scott, probably a lot of people just being like, this format of lower times and everything has sort of hurt the tournament in the sense that, like, okay, I don't think right now we will ever see like a 5-star match in the current G1 Climax tournament setup of the 20 minutes.
Oh, 20 minutes.
I think,
I think you're absolutely right.
I think right now, I think 5 years from now, when like the younger guys like Shota Umino, Ren Narita,
Like,
Suji,
I think if you put Suji and Shota in a block,
in
5 years, they're probably giving you that.
I agree. I think these guys who aren't built on big epics yet, they will be able to figure out the 20 minutes. I think the guys that have been having 30 minutes for G1 epics for the past like 10 years are having trouble. And I think that's, to me, like, I see this G1 Climax as a transitional tournament.
You know what I see it as? They probably get rid of the 32.
Oh, I mean, if you dropped a couple people too, that would be helpful. That would be nice.
Yeah. Go back to 28 if you feel the need.
If you're talking cutting 4 people.
Mm-hmm. If you have this need to have this big a tournament, you can cut some people still.
Yeah, there's probably a couple people you can cut. At least,
like, maybe you could just go back to 20 and no one would bat an eye. That also would be nice.
Yeah, that's also probable. But yeah, I think my big takeaway from the G1 Climax this year was that it was a big old transitional year of the tournament, and I fear that it might take a couple years. But I think down the line, if you continue with the 20 minutes, a lot of the younger guys will be able to figure out how to have a great 20-minute match. That's my hope.
The younger guys had the majority of the great 20-minute matches in this tournament.
And I agree. And I completely agree with that. I think they were better suited for doing the 20 minutes. And granted, they were doing draws, and that's part of it. But I think they had a better time adjusting to the 20 minutes than the older guys who've been wrestling at 30s for the past 10 years.
I like how we call this like an adjustment, a development type period.
Mm-hmm.
Yet we're gonna talk about in a few minutes how Tetsuya Naito won the tournament.
I didn't say where we completely transitioned, but yeah. So let's kind of go through. We'll just kind of go block by block and give our thoughts on various wrestlers. We're not going to go do every wrestler individually, but I'll just say name all the wrestlers in a block. I got
some one-word answers for sure.
That's probably true. But I'm probably just going to go name all the wrestlers in Block A, and then we'll sort of give our thoughts here. So,
sure.
Block A here, we had, of course, Sonata at number 1 with 14 points, Hikuleo at 8 points, getting the second place there. That was a huge surprise. You go to Suji at 7, Ren Narita, Kaito Kiyomiya, Shota Umino all at 6, Gabe Kidd at 5, and Chase Owens at 4. Give me some of your thoughts on some of those wrestlers in that block.
Giving it to Hikuleo was a crime. I'm just gonna say it. Like it did nothing for anybody to put Hikuleo in that spot. Because where's Hikuleo going to be next year in this tournament? Probably not all that notable. Let's be honest.
It did help establish him as a threat, right?
He wasn't bad. I'll say that about Hikuleo. He wasn't bad as more and more the tournament went on.
100%. As the tournament went on, he 100% got better.
which is good because that's what you're supposed to be doing.
Mhm.
So good for Hikuleo. Who else? Sonata underwhelming.
Yeah.
As the IWGP World Champion, going undefeated, I expect a lot more out of you, no matter who you are. And speaking of a guy who I think wrestles better when he doesn't have to go 30 minutes, but he disagreed with me in this tournament outside of the Kaito match.
Mhm.
Mostly the Tsuji match was good too. Everything else very forgettable. Chase Owens trash. Never watched one, so don't have to worry about that. Gabe Kidd grew. He definitely grew throughout this tournament.
Once he sort of dropped the brawling gimmick a little bit, he still had
Yeah.
he still had a little bit, but once he dropped that, he got better.
Yeah. Ren
was if I had to say
Man.
a number 3 for the Three Musketeers, that's Ren Rita right
he was a
there.
disappointment.
Yeah.
I thought Shota Umino used this to break out. Truthfully, I think this was like his. I think a lot of people walked away from this tournament saying, "Oh, that's going to be Shota Umino," and that's huge for him.
Sure.
Because now it feels like he should have a big match at Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like. As should Yota Tsuji, who Yota Tsuji obviously, both those two and Kaito Kiyomiya, they would be like my 3 like
Musketeers.
Just go watch all of Go watch all of what they did.
Yeah.
Because they used their opportunities to get better. And unfortunately for Tsuji, I think he took a couple matches because they just had him lose, and it was like, why?
He lost a lot. He didn't win until the Chase Owens match.
Right. And then he ended up getting more points than the other two. But like his match with Umino was great. His match with Sonata, I liked it better than the title match, but still it was like he should have just won.
Yep.
Like that should have been a big win for him. But he's obviously he knows who he is. And then Kaito Kiyomiya, I mean, this guy was probably my MVP of block action.
Yeah.
If I don't include the quarterfinals, semifinals, and final, he was the MVP of that. And I think it's a crime that he didn't get through. Because I accepted the Three Musketeers weren't getting through because we wanted to keep them all on equal footing.
Yeah, it made sense to me at that point. Yeah.
There's no reason why he shouldn't have made it through.
Well, I'll say this as like sort of the defense there. If none of the Three Musketeers making through in your New Japan, you want to make your guys look better. So you want to put if none of them are getting through, then Kaito's not getting through because.
But have you considered this? I wanted to see Naito and Kaito Kiyomiya. Have you considered that at all?
I have, and I think it's a fair complaint. But I think Kaito Kiyomiya was only going to get. In hindsight, it's like I think we so badly wanted that Okada match that we just kind of ignored. There's no way he's going to get past the Three Musketeers point wise.
It just sucks because like he should be in the N1 then.
He could have easily been in the N1. Yeah. He could have easily done it. I don't know why. I mean, I guess he has to heal up probably, but he could have easily done it.
Big matches. It's a lot of big singles matches.
Yeah. Before I give my my new thoughts, Toy Chica is Banana Place on YouTube asks us how are days going, but also who is our favorite wrestler? They'll go for a guy like Cody Rhodes. Scotty, I'll ask you because we got comments coming in. Who's your current favorite wrestler of the year right now? Is it anyone in Block A of the G1 Climax?
No. My favorite wrestler. I mean, my all-time favorite wrestler is Mayu Iwatani, but overall, like this year, who do I enjoy watching the most? I don't want to give like a chalk pick. That's like I don't want to give like well, is pretty cool.
I will say this right now on the YouTube on the video screen. There, our top 5s are going across the board of who are our current favorite wrestlers of the year based on our own individual match ratings. So, I've liked Ospreay. Yeah, I've liked Ospreay, Okada, Omega, the Young Bucks. You've enjoyed Okada, Moxley, Omega, Kento Miyahara, and who's your 5th person right now?
Bill.
Who? Bill. Oh, Ospreay. Yeah. Other than that, I mean, I think I have enjoyed Seth Rollins as well this year. I thought he's been doing pretty good work.
Yeah,
Um,
if you want a WWE person for me, Kyrie.
Io
No,
Sky.
Seth has done good. I think Kevin Owens has done really good in tag team action.
Mhm.
Um, I really look forward to certain people's matches more, so I guess that's how I probably should look at it. Like Natsupoi, I look forward to her matches a lot.
Yeah.
I think she's just a lot of fun, and like her little matches are good.
It's
Yeah,
tough to give a favorite wrestler answer when you watch so much wrestling, because it's like
yeah. Because like my two favorite wrestlers, like right now, I guess, are like Mayu and Suzuki. But like, I watch so much wrestling, I want to give a taste of
yeah,
everything.
yeah.
You know.
It's like, who's my favorite wrestler in every promotion? Let me go down
All
the
right,
line.
here we go. Uh,
Oh no, oh no, that's a whole nother
every
segment.
promotion I watch, see you in a year.
Yeah, that's a GCW.
Kaiser Kiyomiya. My favorite New Japan wrestler is Shota, probably.
I love, so going back to Block A, I love Yota Tsuji, man.
I know you do.
I am fully converted to the Gene Blast lifestyle. I'm fully converted to the Yota Tsuji lifestyle. I'm fully in. I'm fully in. I love this guy. You talk about favorite wrestlers. I'm loving Yota Tsuji.
He finally won me over.
I finally won you over. What did I say?
No, he did.
Oh, okay.
He
Oh,
did.
damn. I was hoping for a credit for me.
The match with Shota won me over.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, this is your Wrestle Kingdom main event for the next however long you want.
Yes.
Just put them there.
Yes.
No offense to Ren, but he's so much lower than these two. Just put them. I was like, put them in the main event next year. I'm not gonna bat it, right? This is great. Like they have such a great connection.
Yeah.
That's like, okay, New Japan's gonna be just fine.
What I like about Yota Tsuji the most is that Ren Narita just feels like a Shibata clone, right?
A really bad version of Shibata.
Sure. Shota Umino.
He doesn't hit hard enough to be Shota Umino, to be Katsuyori Shibata.
That's fair. Shota Umino is like this weird amalgamation of a bunch of wrestlers, all coming together. But for me, Yota Tsuji feels like its own guy. And that's really why I love Yota Tsuji so much. If anything, I would say that like Yota Tsuji has like a bunch of elite influence, throwing super kicks and
That's probably why people love him.
Running knees and all this stuff. His spear, that Osprey spear in the tag match today was freaking killer. I'm enjoying so much out of Yota Tsuji.
I'm really upset that they already gave him the title match.
Or it hasn't been announced yet. I did see that there's a press conference today that's supposedly it's Royal Crest 3, and supposedly that's going to be there. But yes, they're throwing me into another.
We won't get to even see it when it happens.
No, of course
that's
not.
the case. We'll have to wait a month.
So yes, supposedly that match is happening in Royal Quest 3, assuming that show is happening.
Why is Royal Quest 3 happening?
I don't know.
It happened last year.
Yeah, I think it did. I think it did.
Crap.
Mm-hmm. And then the other one was 2019, and then obviously the pandemic happened.
Okay, well that's a good spot for it. I'm just upset about it because I want Shota and Yoda to get big matches at Wrestle Kingdom.
Yes,
and like,
and by that you mean you of course mean Shota Tsuji, his twin brother. Of course, that's what you mean.
Yes, right? Of course. I want those two, but in all seriousness, I want those two to have big matches.
Yes.
I don't see how we get that big match if we're already giving Yoda the one now, because I'm sure he doesn't beat Osprey.
I mean, I was about to say that.
You just gave Osprey a new belt.
You just gave Osprey a new belt, and obviously Yota Tsuji has these Rev Pro ties, but like, is it a good idea for him to lose another title match this soon? I mean, Shooter, he's lost what against Osprey last year,
and then Saber.
And then I think that's it. But he's been around. He's got a lot of wins since then. I mean, Tsuji.
He has more Rev Pro ties.
Tsuji
he was there the whole time.
Tsuji has more losses than wins right now, and he's getting another title shot, which he's probably going to lose. Yeah, I would be shocked if he wins.
I wanted that book for Wrestle Kingdom.
If he wins, I could see them doing Yota Tsuji versus Shooter at Wrestle Kingdom for that title. That could be interesting.
Yota Tsuji versus Shota Umino, first time at Wrestle Kingdom for the UK title.
Yeah,
right?
baby. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
The title isn't needed.
That's fair. That's fair.
To be fair. But hey, Block A.
Block A. Beyond that, Ren Rita was a disappointment. Kaito Kiyomiya was pretty good. Shota Umino was pretty good. Gabe Kidd got better. Chase Owens did his thing. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
Trash.
He did his thing. That last match, Sonata versus Chase Owens, I hated. Worst match of Block A. And then Sonata, I guess, was whatever. And Hikuleo, like I said, he got better. Block B, Kazuchika Okada at first place with 12 points. Will Ospreay at 10 points. El Phantasmo, Taichi, Tangaloa, Kenta, Great Khan, all at 6 points. Yoshihashi at 4 points. Geez, I didn't realize Yoshihashi was that low. What do we think about Block B? I'll go first, I guess. I thought Okada was weirdly like he did really well, but like a disappointment compared to his like previous years and previous G1 output. In that sense, like, when you're expecting 4-star matches every night and you don't get it, it's, I guess, a weird disappointment. But he obviously stepped up in the playoffs and stepped up in the finals, obviously. Will Ospreay, I think Will Ospreay was the best wrestler of the tournament for me. Every match of his pretty much killed. He got great matches out of people that I never expected will get great matches out of. El Phantasmo, I think he was fine. I wasn't like jazzed about El Phantasmo too much. Taichi was good. Tonga Loa and Kenta, by God. If you're talking about slimming down the G1 Climax next year, I'm sorry, Tonga. I'm sorry, Kenta, but Jesus Christ. Great Khan, I don't know, man. He wasn't really doing anything this tournament. That was disappointing to see. I think Great Khan doesn't work as a babyface. I think he's trying to bang a babyface and he doesn't know how to work it, and it just is not doing anything. Yoshihashi was good. I'm like Yoshihashi, by the way, weirdly high on my wrestler ratings this year.
You're a Yoshihashi maniac, baby.
At the end of June, he was rated number 9.
I not be watching enough wrestling.
I know, that's what I said. I was like, how the fuck did Yoshihashi get this high? But let me see where he's at right now. But yeah, Yoshihashi surprisingly high in my ratings. Obviously, a bunch of G1 Climax matches certainly helped him. Yeah, he's currently 27 on my ratings right now.
That's better.
That's better, but that's still
you may not be watching enough wrestling.
That's still way high.
Let me tell you where big Yoshihashi is in mine.
That's right above Hiromu. That's above Sonata. That's above.
Ready for this?
Naito.
He is 93rd.
Jesus. What Yoshi? Like I said, above Hiromu, above Naito, above Shingo.
I don't even know how that's
possible. I don't know either. I gotta look into this.
You might have to study. You might have to figure out what the hell happened.
I think Yoshihashi's my favorite wrestler this year. All of a sudden.
Might be. B block was the Okada and Ospreay show.
Yeah, 100%. 100% the Okada Ospreay show.
Ospreay, if you want to include the quarterfinals and finals and stuff like that, yeah, he's probably the overall in-ring MVP. Because his matches with Okada, of course. I thought the Phantasmo match was the best match of Phantasmo's life, from what I've seen.
Oh yeah,
I thought that was easily the best I've ever seen out of El Phantasmo.
Agreed.
The match with Kenta was solid.
The best Kenta match of the tour, for sure. So easy.
That should tell you all you need to know. The Taichi match was good.
Yep.
The Yoshihashi match was good. Yeah, he just did. Great Khan match was good. He just had he had really good matches with pretty much everyone except for Tangaloa because there was no saving that.
But at least the Tangaloa one had an interesting ending, in my opinion.
Yeah, I didn't watch it.
Fair enough.
Didn't watch Tangaloa.
Fair enough.
I saw the clip of him hitting Okada. I was like, this is the worst wrestler.
Yeah.
I was like, I never want to hear slander about the Usos again.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels like after Okada and Ospreay, there's a drop off in the wrestlers in Block B.
Taichi and Yoshihashi were probably like 3 and 4 in that block.
Agreed.
In terms of entertainment.
Yeah, maybe El Phantasmo in there around like 3, 4, 5. I think they're
one good match,
swappable based on your preference.
He had one good match that I remember.
Yeah, I think was his Okada match good? I don't remember it.
No, pretty much like whatever.
Yeah, I was expecting more of El Phantasmo to really get it. Any other thoughts on Block B? Feels like we don't have a lot.
No.
Block C, first place was David Finlay. Second place was Evil. Both at 10 points. Tama Tonga at 9 points. Eddie Kingston at 8. Shingo at 7. Mikey Nichols, Hanari, and Tomohiro Ishii all at 4 points. What do you think of Block C, Scotty?
It was a day. It was a block. It was Eddie Kingston did good.
Eddie Kingston did good.
His match with Ishii was for a long time a match of the tournament.
He went out there and gave it his all every night. Pretty much.
He did. You felt his effort. And I think that's so appreciated, especially after a lot of the guys we've already talked about. Like, you always knew Eddie was giving it his all. And that made pretty much every match he had so much better than it had any right to be, outside of the Shingo and the Ishii matches. And even the Shingo one was a letdown, in my opinion. I think that should have been a lot better. Had that been, I think, later in the tournament, it would have been better.
Agreed.
But the Ishii match was great. Ishii did his role. Shingo, my guy. An upsetting tournament for my boy Shingo.
How so?
He just wasn't in the right block. I feel like there were other blocks for him to have like just a really special run, especially because I think he can do the 20 minutes well.
Sure.
And damn it, Tonga.
If you could swap, and I wish I could. On paper, it almost makes sense for Shingo to be in this block, but I would almost disagree. I would love to have swapped Taichi and Shingo.
I agree.
Put Shingo in Block B.
Good in this block.
And Taichi would have done well. Taichi and Eddie Kingston. I mean, my God, that would have been good.
They would have just did King's Road stuff. It would have been incredible.
Yeah, exactly. So that would have been fantastic. If I could have made one swap. I thought Mikey Nichols was a big surprise. Shout out
to the TMTK guys.
Yeah.
All around. All of them.
But Mikey Nichols fully coming into this like, who cares less about this man than me? And by the end of the tournament, I'm like, all right, Mikey Nichols.
He made me watch some of his matches.
He made me watch his matches. That's the highest compliment you can get out of Scotty.
Yeah, in this tournament, you sure can. Because let me tell you, some people made sure I never wanted to watch their matches again. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Who else did you enjoy or not enjoy in Block C? Let's talk about Evil. Can we talk about Evil for a quick sec?
Evil did his job, okay?
Evil did his job.
No one's better at doing their job than Evil.
I was going to come on here, Scotty, and say, during the tournament, sometimes it hit, sometimes it didn't. That's Evil matches. At a certain point, it wears on you a little bit. But by the time you got to the ending, that crowd was unglued for these Evil matches.
Yeah, that's why they do it. Like, I know people here hate him, because they just listen. At the end of the day, a lot of people just want great matches.
Of course,
you listen to those crowds. He was in the right spot.
Oh yeah, it worked. It was hotter than a volcano for these Evil matches. Hotter than the depths of hell for these Evil matches. I'll tell you what, that evil Shingo Takagi match, Scotty.
Oh yeah, that was evil.
I gave it 4 stars.
That was very well done.
That was so good, man. That was
People were like, this is stupid. I watched it. I was like, that was great.
Yeah, I come on here. I'm like I get it. It's annoying, and I think that's the problem with Evil is that like when Evil doesn't work, it fucking stinks. But when it does, but when the right combinations of crowd and opponent and spots and nonsense all come together, Evil beating Shingo and the crowd just raining, like gasping and then raining boos on Evil. So good. That's the point. That's the point of wrestling, baby. That's heel heat, baby. The crowd's
Like
into it. The crowd's reacting more to Evil than Sonata. I'll give you that much.
This is true. That's like the semifinal with Okada when he hits the everything is evil, and people just have like the heart attack.
Yeah, everyone's like, "Oh no!"
You can hear everyone sink.
Yeah,
and then when Okada kicks out, and then Okada hits the everything is evil, they just lose their mind.
Yeah,
it's like this. This is why Evil's here.
Yeah,
you don't have to like him. That's fine, but he works perfectly.
And I get it. There are moments where I do not like Evil. But it's
Sonata match. That drained me.
That drained me for sure. But when it hits,
drained me even more that is a title match.
Oh God! But when it hits, Evil matches hit hard for me, and I get surprised. I get surprised when I get super into an Evil match because it's like all of a sudden it clicks for me, and I'm like, oh wait, shit, this is really good, and it surprised me every time.
I love Evil. That's what you say.
Of course. Tama Tonga, he was fine. I didn't think he was. I think he was. He was solid. Yeah, he was solid. I thought David Finlay again solid. I thought he had a great final match there with Ospreay. I thought that was a great match.
David Finlay and the War Dogs.
War Dogs, baby.
People are lying. I think
about what.
The War Dogs. I think they're lying to themselves because they want Bullet Club in New Japan to be great. It's okay that it's not. It's okay that the best Bullet Club is easily
Evil
in AEW these days.
I was gonna say House of Torture.
Yeah, I always forget they're part of Bullet Club. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah,
like that's the best part of Bullet Club in New Japan, and I'm not afraid to say that. And the best Bullet Club in the world involves Juice Robinson, baby.
And of course, Cardblade.
Listen. If your Bullet Club ain't rock hard, it ain't the right one. Okay.
I've always said that.
I've always said that. Dating back to the times of AJ Styles. If it ain't rock hard, you don't want
it. Yeah, it's Gabe Kidd got better. David Finlay,
Gabe Kidd had some good matches.
Gabe Kidd had some good matches. David Finlay was just sort of like
Alex Coughlin
there.
Sucks.
Alex Coughlin just did the shtick the entire time, and he's newer, obviously. So I don't want to give him a pass. I don't want to give him a pass, but yeah, I think he could have done more. He was the problem with Alex Coughlin is also he was like slotted into like opening match every single night practically. And it's like all you had to.
If you're gonna wrestle like that, you deserve it.
Fair, but it's like all you had was like 10 minutes at that point, So I'll give him, I guess, that much. But yeah.
You're nicer than me.
I'm not. Yeah, David Finlay. I just was like, all right, David. I'm not a big David Finlay lover right now. I'm not really enjoying him. I don't want to necessarily say a hater because I like the Ospreay match. There was another match this year he had that I enjoyed.
I like the one with Eddie.
Yes, that was a good match.
That had good drama.
He can go. It's just he's not. Bullet Club leaders obviously have a law of diminishing returns, and boy, are these.
Unless it's Jay White.
Are these?
He leads the best one.
I guess that's true. That is true. I love how Bullet Club was.
If it's not rock hard, you don't want it.
I love how Bullet Club was just like a faction of 4 guys, and now it's just a faction of various factions, all under the Bullet Club logo.
Think about this. If I told you at the beginning of the year, that the best version of Bullet Club, and it would be legitimately entertaining, arguably AEW's MVP since they got put into a prominent position, was Jay White, Juice Robinson, and the guns. Would you have believed me? No, you would have said, "Are you nuts?"
I don't remember if Juice was in AEW at the beginning of this year, but at the beginning of his run, he was not interesting, boring, just kind of there. The Guns, no one was enjoying the Guns at that time, and Jay White was in New Japan. So at the beginning of this year, I would have been like, no fucking way, dude. No way. I mean, it could be interesting. It could be interesting. But now it's like they're firing on all cylinders. Everything they do works. It's so good. They wrestle well. They're great.
Give me Jay and Hangman on All Out.
I pitched that to you before in one of these slacks. It's like, that makes sense to me.
Do it. Just do it.
Why not? There's no reason not to. I mean, I'll even take Hangman and Ibushi versus Juice and Jay White. I mean, I'll accept that. I won't be happy. I would love the singles instead, but I'll accept that if you can't get Ibushi for Chicago. Let's talk about Block D real quickly. Tetsuya Naito, of course, your winner at 10 points. Zack Sabre Jr. also had 10 points. Jeff Cobb, 9. Coughlin, Tanahashi, Goto all had 6 points. Shane Haste, 5. And Toru Yano at 4. Toru Yano, obviously, who gives a shit? The last match was interesting. He went more heel nonsense, but that was interesting. But beyond that, Goto seemingly suffered a rib injury, so his tournament got worse.
What was the last night he had?
I
liked it.
It was Zack Sabre Jr. Yeah. Naito. Shane Haste was pretty decent. He was better than I expected.
Naito.
That is true. He was better than I expected, for sure.
I think we could just say that about the 2 TMDK guys.
That's fair.
For sure.
Tanahashi, fine. Up until the last night, which I thought was good.
Yeah, him and Naito were good. Him and Naito. You know what's the funny thing with Tanahashi? Like, he obviously still has something in him.
Yes.
On some days.
Yes.
It's just, I think it's better if you sprinkle it in with tags and trios rather than singles.
We also have to remember that Tanahashi that we saw in the Naito match, he had a week off.
Yeah. Give him a week off then if he's going to have big matches, okay? Is that okay?
The rest of the tournament's like, all right, Tanahashi, I'm not really sure about this one. And then he gets a week off, comes back, and has a great match. And you're like, all right, Tanahashi's back, baby.
Let the old man have some days off.
Yeah.
He'll come back. That's what all the other old guys in New Japan get. They get days and days off. That's why Kojima's still good sometimes, and Nagata's still good sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. There's no other old guys.
You said Nagata?
Yeah, I said Nagata and Kojima.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
The other old guys stink.
I thought Sabre and Cobb were the best ones in this block for me. I enjoyed their output the most.
Are we only counting block action?
Yeah, I'm counting block action.
Okay, because
Naito got way better. Naito got way better at the end there.
So I just want to say this because I don't know if we're going to talk about it, but Naito, he is still a top 1% big match performer.
Yeah.
Just don't ask him to do anything else.
That Ospreay match, that Naito Ospreay match, where he obviously has some sort of injury, knocked out silly, and Ospreay is willing him to continue. Like, Destino, go, do it. You got this, Naito. Come on.
That match was
scary.
Are we going to talk about that?
Yeah, we can talk about it right now.
All right. Well, we'll just break into this. I don't care about D-Block. Zach was good. I'm not a big Jeff Cobb guy, I have decided.
Interesting. You don't like him?
I think he's fine. But, now that they're doing, Naito versus Cobb for the briefcase, I'm like, I don't have any interest in that match at all. Mostly because I know Cobb's not winning, but that doesn't help.
Well, that helps.
But that match with Ospreay, and that was the G1.
I know people love the final, but that match of Ospreay was my match the entire tournament.
It's mine too. I love the final too. Don't get me wrong. I love the final. The energy for the final, everything was perfect. But in terms of the actual wrestling, you don't top the Ospreay Naito because also reminder, this is Naito showing he still got it too.
Well,
You know, like going into
yeah,
he thankfully he wasn't loopy for
the majority of it, yeah.
a lot of it. It was clearly just towards the end, and it still worked out because Osprey was able to get him there.
Mm-hmm.
It was just it's everything that I remember loving about the G1. That's what that match was.
Yeah.
Like I was thinking back to like my favorite New Japan match of all time is Kenny and Naito in the. It wasn't even the G1 final; it was the block decider the year
Yep.
prior.
Yep.
That's my favorite.
That match is
And
great.
like watching that match, this one between Osprey and Naito, I was like, I'm watching it. It wasn't like that level but it was just a smidge below. Like it was so great, and they did it last year too. These
Mm-hmm.
two,
Mm-hmm.
the same exact situation.
Mm-hmm.
They're phenomenal against one another. Naito is like if you put him in a big match with stakes, that he's gonna win. That doesn't hurt either. Though last year he wasn't winning, and he had that phenomenal match with Osprey. But if you put him in a big match with stakes, he's going to deliver, no matter where he is health wise. Obviously Osprey is too, but
yeah, I mean, phenomenal end of tournament here for Naito. Obviously, the Osprey match was killer, but our match is the tournament. The Okada match was also great. Fantastic work from Naito. Just, babyface in peril work out of Naito.
yeah,
I love and seeing Okada, turn up the Rudo energy, turn up the heel stuff.
First time New Japan felt back to its like real level because of that crowd.
Yeah.
Like the crowd absolutely pretty much living and dying with Tetsuya Naito.
Yes.
That was incredible.
Yeah.
I loved he did this back-to-back nights.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what that was shocking to me. Is like, damn, this guy the night previously got knocked loopy and needed help to finish the match, and he goes on to have like a 30-minute classic final.
Yeah. That final is it's one of the classic finals.
Yeah, and I just love
there's a lot of them, to be fair.
I love everything that played into it. I love the Rudo energy of Okada, obviously the heel work out of him. I did not realize how good a Destino into the Emerald Flosion would land.
Oh, that was so good.
And then when he did it, I was like, holy shit, of course. That's such a good move and a good chain of matches there. I love Kevin Kelly's call of Naito doing the standing 10 count or a 20 count, I guess, for the knockout. And I don't remember if it was Kevin Kelly or if it was Nick Charlton. I think it actually might have been Nick Charlton saying about like
Chris Charlton.
What did I say? Kevin? Is it Kevin Charlton?
Nick Charlton?
Oh, Nick Charlton. Everyone knows Nick Charlton. Chris Charlton. I believe he said something about like how Okada was about to get another G1 Climax victory on a knockout. He was about to do another one. Calling back to that Ibushi match. I was like, everything played into it, all the history and everything. I love that match.
It was so good. It was like I think everyone at the Wrestle Kingdom want to say, New Japan's back, right? Because they had the Omega Osprey, then they had the Okada White matches back to back. And there's been a few times people just want to say New Japan's back. And I think New Japan isn't back until they're hitting on all fronts again.
Yeah.
But New Japan as a must-see attraction is back.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Not every show is going to hit the same highs as it once did, but I think we are a couple years away from that. I think we are on the path to getting back there. At least that's my hope.
And now they're giving Naito the run he didn't get
because
of COVID.
Supposedly, yeah.
Which I'm assuming.
I know. I'm assuming
Naito at Wrestle Kingdom.
I mean, bold. It's a bold move. We saw the ticket sales of this G1 tour. They were. I mean, they were low. It
wasn't until the final two nights where Naito was in the driver's seat where it kicked back in.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's the guy.
Yes.
Like, no matter what people think about Naito in his current form, he is the guy until he says he's not anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Which he has hinted at. He knows he's almost not, but give him that roll call that last night.
Yeah.
One more time. I watched these 2 nights. I was like, buckle up. One more run for Naito. I'm all in. Actually, that was after the Osprey match. I was like, I don't know. I didn't even need the Okada match to be like, yep, I'm in.
Yeah. But you had a feeling. We all pegged Naito as the winner going into the tournament, and obviously it happened. But even then, even when you expect the winner, that's wrestling, baby. It hits. When it hits, it hits.
Kevin Kelly's best calls are often Destino.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Any other final thoughts on the G1 Climax? I want to give a quick shout out to one match that I just remembered as we're talking about like the history of stuff. I love the Kaito Kiyomiya Ren Narita match.
Oh, that was really good.
I love that match. That match.
The ending to that.
Yes, the back and forth, step up Enziguri, octopus stretch, everyone flosion, or whatever else he did. Oh no, it was the German suplex or something, straight jacket German or something. And it's just like
Kaito back in Noah.
Supposedly, I suppose he's. Well, I actually don't know if he's going to be on this N1 tour at all because they're doing not every block match every night because they're doing one off so that they can do a junior heavyweight tag team title tournament or something. So I don't really know what's happening with that. I think Kaito, there's a good chance he's not coming back in Noah for a bit. But the N1 tournament's not going to last that long. So I guess that's the good news. But we'll see what happens. But hey, he's bringing Rohei Oiwa, one of the young lions over with him. So that should be fun. When does the Noah tournament end? Noah tournament ends September 3rd. So yeah, they got some. He'll be back sometime after that, I'm guessing. The only other thought I had watching this tournament, I mentioned that like Great-O-Khan was kind of a disappointment, and he doesn't really work his babyface. You know what Great-O-Khan should do, and they should allow Great-O-Khan to do? They should send him to like All Japan.
That would be a good idea.
Like put him into a smaller pond for a bit. I think he needs it. I don't necessarily think Noah. I don't think he necessarily works in Noah, but I think you put Great-O-Khan in All Japan just for like, a run. Maybe he beats Yume Iwagi or something. I don't know, but just get him over there. I don't know.
I think Great-O-Khan's kind of bad.
I don't necessarily want to say he's kind of bad, but like he just isn't working anymore right now. And I think he just needs. And I think the change of scenery would help, but also presumably if he goes to All Japan, he'll be able to play heel again.
Sure.
And I think he needs that because this babyface faction stuff, I don't necessarily think is working for him per se. But that's just my take. That's my take. Maybe put him in the Cobb tag team again or something. I don't know. That's G1 Climax. On the docket for New Japan coming up, of course, is the All-Star Junior Festival. That's coming down the Pippity Pipeline. So we have some match announcements, of course. The schedule that is announced so far is that they're having a All-Star Junior Festival tournament with 2 matches and then the final. That tournament being Kevin Knight versus Clark Connors and Francisco Akira versus Mike Bailey. The winner of those 2 matches will face each other later in the night. You're also going to have Matt Sydal and Yo teaming up versus Bushi and Shun Skywalker.
I'll watch it.
I'm 100% watching. I cannot wait to see the interactions between Shun Skywalker and Bushi. That's what I'm talking about, my guy.
Sydal's cool spot there.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, he can't go back to Japan, right? That's why he's never go. Like, didn't he get like? Isn't there a situation with him why he can't actually go back to Japan?
I believe yes, he was
like weed or something.
Yes, and they're very strict about it.
He would have been a fun junior guy.
Agreed.
For a long time.
Yeah, I totally agree.
He was one to begin with.
Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe they can bring him back. I mean, I don't know when he would be able to go back, but that'd be all interesting. There's also going to be El Desperado and Mao of DDT teaming up against Jordan Oliver and Nick Wayne. So you get some GCW tag team action. I mean, they're a good tag team, so I will say that they're a good tag team. I will say that. There's also going to be something called the Philly Cheesesteak Cup, which will be a 3-way ladder match. I don't know if it's going to be a cup at the top filled with cheese and meat, or there's going to be a hoagie up there or something. But it's again a 3-way tag ladder match. So it's Hiromu Takahashi and Rocky Romero versus Master Wato and Blake Christian versus Doki and Lowrider. The Lowrider is, I believe, a local Texan indie mainstay.
So he's a Chase Owens recommendation. Got it.
I would say that or probably Rocky. And of course, there are other people announced for this show.
Forgetting the biggest match.
That's all that's on the schedule for New Japan. Am I missing a match?
Yeah, well, you're forgetting the biggest match.
Give me that biggest match.
I will. The biggest match.
Sounds like a threat.
It is an abomination of professional wrestling. It is. Are you ready here?
I believe I'm ready.
Are you seated?
Currently, yes.
Here we go. The DKC.
Yeah, baby.
Rich Swann.
Oh yeah.
And Ryusuke Taguchi against Starboy Charlie.
Oh, this must have been announced today.
Jack Cartwheel and Real One Enzo Amore. How you do?
That's quite the amalgamation of people. I've never. It's unbelievable, my guy. Unbelievable. That wow. There's more people announced for this show, of course. Soberano Jr. is on the show. Fugaz, he's a CMLL wrestler. Dragon Kid is on the show. Ace Austin, Alex Shelley, Chris Bay.
Oh, the good wrestlers. Alex Shelley's on the show?
Alex Shelley's on the show, yep. Robbie Eagles. TJP, Kanemaru, Cheeseburger. They are all still on. So we're still going to get plenty more matches to come. But these are some interesting ones.
Next week.
Yeah. Any thoughts on Real One?
I can't believe they.
I can't believe you're right. I can't believe they were able to secure a Real One. Surely his schedule was so packed that they couldn't. They had to move mountains just to get Real One into the 2300 arena.
Like, who got him in here?
Don't know.
Rich Swann?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't like. Where is he? He's working like new. I think
he got kicked out of MLW essentially because he didn't want to lose.
Yep, that's accurate. That's accurate.
MLW, he got kicked out of Major League Wrestling, the same company that still books Gene Snitsky.
I'm surprised he hasn't showed up in the NWA yet. It just feels like he would fit like a glove there.
He'd probably be the world champion. You're right.
I mean, to be fair, I would rather have Real One be my world champion than either EC3 or Tyrus. So the show should be good, maybe. It's a lot of tag team matches. I mean, if it's anything like the last one, it's going to be good and interesting to see the dynamics. But, you know, if you want to skip it, I'm sure you can skip it.
I'll tell you what, King.
We'll recommend good matches.
Review much of it next week.
I know. I'll certainly watch all of it because I'm crazy. Well, no, I don't know.
You're not going to see any of it.
There's no way I'm going to see any of it. I got my bachelor's party this weekend, buddy. Anything we're talking about is whatever you can watch.
I'm the captain.
Yeah, you're the captain of next week's ship.
Oh dear God.
Yeah, so you're gonna be recommending
get everything together.
You're gonna be recommending me All-Star Junior Festival USA matches.
All right, here you go. Don't watch it.
How come on? Alex Shelley's gonna be on here.
Yeah, we'll see what. There's enough good wrestlers left that there could be some more good.
Agreed.
There's mostly good wrestlers left, actually. So
agreed. And just some combination of them will be, I'm sure, interesting.
I just can't believe Hiromu was on this card. And they're like, yeah, put him in the Philly cheesesteak ladder match.
What does that mean? You get something out of it? A Philly cheesesteak? Something?
A Philly cheesesteak, man.
Lifetime supply of cheesesteaks?
You could probably walk out of that building and buy a $5 one, I'm sure, like right next door.
Yeah.
It's Philadelphia.
Bro, I got the best.
Here we go.
There's a restaurant that opened up nearby called Philly Bros. The best.
I wonder what they make.
Philly cheesesteaks, of course. The best Philly cheesesteaks I've ever had in my life. Not a joke.
Have you ever been to Philly?
Yes.
Okay, then that's impressive.
The meat is so incredibly well seasoned. The meat to bread to cheese ratio is perfect. It's so good. I'm picking up scraps when I'm done because I just want it. I just want to order the meat by itself so I can put it in other things. It's so good. I'm a big meat guy, and you can put that on a shirt. Stardom.
I take my Bullet Club rock hard. He takes his meat season, and this is Ring Post Radio at night.
This is the best wrestling podcast in the history of wrestling podcasts. If you aren't listening to this show,
Jesus.
If you're not listening to this show and telling your friends about this show, what are you doing? You're missing quotable quotes like "I'm a meat guy," and
I'm a meat guy.
Put that on a shirt.
The only Bullet Club you want is rock hard.
God damn, this show is too good for people. We just payroll this behind the Patreon. That's what we need to be doing.
What happens if we give Juice Robinson a Philly Bros cheesesteak?
He'll probably get rock hard.
That's our mascot.
A rock hard Juice Robinson eating a Philly cheesesteak.
That's the Ring Post Radio way,
folks. We're losing our minds here. We're going crazy. Stardom X Stardom.
Yeah, this is what leads us into a multiverse united preview.
Well, we're going to go Stardom X Stardom first before we go multiverse.
I know, because it leads us into the preview.
That's true. That is true.
There's things needed to be known on here.
That is true. Stardom X Stardom. That was the Stardom show that took place this morning, obviously in the middle of the 5-star Grand Prix in classic Stardom way.
Yeah, baby. We like to run our shows all the time.
This show I thought was an interesting one. You watched along live, obviously. You seem to love it as well. Let's go match by match here.
2 matches.
All right. Well, let's talk about it. Let's start off with
3, 2.5.
Let's start off with the
cheesesteaks. Get into them, guys.
The cheesesteak is great.
You didn't actually eat the cheesesteak today. I want everyone to know.
No. I made dinner tonight, and what did I have for lunch, anyways? Oh, I was going to order Philly Bros for lunch, but they were closed today, so my heart was broken.
Womp.
Yeah, I'm slowly amalgamating various fast casual international food. So I got Philly Bros. I got Hibachi Express, which is this fantastic hibachi.
Ooh, Express. That's impressive.
It's fast. It's super fast. It takes 15. It takes I leave my house and place an order, and by the time I get there, it's ready. And I just pick it up and leave.
That's what you love to see.
That's what you love to see, folks. Anyways, Stardom X Stardom. Let's talk about the main event first. The World of Stardom title match. Tam Nakano defeating Megan Bayne, successfully retaining her title in 60 minutes and 32 seconds. I personally, and Scotty, I don't know if you'll be upset with me or how you'll take this, but in my personal opinion, this was my match of the night. I love this match.
It was really well done.
I loved it. I thought it was executed perfectly. I thought Tam Nakano played her role perfectly. I love Megan Bayne doing I think it was you that tweeted out saying that it felt you had that Brock Lesnar John Cena energy a little bit with this match, especially with Megan Bayne throwing Tam Nakano out to nobody. That was fantastic. But even then, I'll go further back in time and say she had like a Vader-esque energy to me.
Mm.
Especially if she beat her in like in 5 minutes and won the title, that would have been a Vader-esque energy right there. But the it's so old school, and what I like about Megan Bain is maintaining control of the center of the ring is such an old school philosophy, and she does it so well, mixing that with like Tam Nakano's babyface underdog, chopping out the legs, doing everything she can, working the kicks to the leg at the start and having no effect. And by the end, it's like kick to the leg, oh, that's stumbling her. Kick to the head, oh, that's stumbling her. And then hitting her with, I believe it was her finisher right then and there. But it was just, I love this match. I thought it was great. Definitely notebook worthy for me. So I know it wasn't necessarily your favorite. I have a guess what your favorite match was, but
I have a little favoritism here.
you're a little biased for sure.
I have a bias. I have a bias for one person and bias against another. So
That's fair.
They work. They work hand in hand.
But I thought for Megan Bain and her sort of limited
debut.
Yeah, big match debut. This is definitely her biggest match in her career, and for
her best,
her limited experience in years in wrestling, plus coming off of a nasty injury that took her out for basically a year. I thought this played to all of her strengths, and Tam Nakano nailed it out of the park, and it was a great match. It was perfectly well executed.
It was so much better than I expected it to be. I think that's my best way to look at it, because I can never stress this enough. But when it comes to Tam Nakano, you don't know what you're gonna get. Mm-hmm. She is someone who can be a great wrestler.
Yep.
And then she's someone who can give you headaches as you watch her, because it's like, what are you doing? She was the perfect person for this match. The only other person that might have been better was a Mayu, and that's just because Mayu, I think, expresses things just a little bit better.
Sure.
But either way, they do it perfectly. And Tam's smaller, so Tam actually was better, I think. The height, if you look at them going head to head, it's better because Mayu's a little bit taller too.
Yeah.
Obviously, Megan Bain's the best match of her life. She is here for more than the usual 2 to 3 months, from what I'm told. So that's exciting, I think, because it means she has more time to continue working in this environment. Yep. And I think I walked away from this saying, the moment she gets back to the US, she's signed.
Yeah, I think so.
Because, I don't know how you pass up someone who's so different. Because I think she has, and this is one thing Megan Bain has always had, she knows who she is. She has known her character. She always has had an aura, a presence about her. And if you watch the entrance she had and just the whole setup, it's like, oh, this is this is terrifying. And they worked perfectly. My only complaint is I wish she sold the finish a little bit more.
Yeah,
she was right up after that. I was like, but I mean, the German suplex before the last suplex, I thought Megan Bain was done.
Yeah,
she got dropped directly on top of her head. And I was like, Jesus
Christ.
But she did a great job. She did such a great job. Tam did such a great job. It's one that I think I would like to go back and watch, just because it was quick. It wasn't a long match. They went in there, they had their, I don't know how long it was. It didn't feel
long. The match itself was 60 minutes and 23 seconds.
Yeah, it was good. It was different. It was different from a Tam main event, which made it all the better. It's one that they could put a feather in the cap on.
Yeah,
and be proud of.
Megan Bain has had 400 less matches than Tam Nakano.
Yes.
Put that in perspective.
Megan Bain can't run a match, if that makes sense.
Sure.
She can do all. She can be their rock. She can be their big, she is something that Joshi companies don't often have.
Yeah.
And I think that's exciting for her.
I think that's also why I like this match so much, is that it was such a breath of fresh air in Stardom. Like, Stardom has a lot of good female wrestlers, and the high speed is always very interesting, and a lot of the work is great. But especially coming out of the pandemic, like one of the reasons I've always been attracted to like Suzuki, or even like the Promise people that came in, or Hashimoto, or any of these other people, is that it was a new fresh breath of fresh air to see different people. And Megan Bain coming in is such a different person from the rest of these wrestlers that I've greatly enjoyed her inclusion here. I just want to point out
they're doing.
Go ahead. So I was just wanted to point out that she worked, AEW Dark, a dark match in February of 2022. That's where she got injured and she was out for a very long time. She's since returned in April of 2023, working on the Indies. But I don't know if you know this, and I had a feeling that maybe, because I remember seeing that she was winning some dark matches and she had her own music in AEW at one point, and I was thinking maybe she could have gotten signed. I don't know if you know this, Scotty, but in June 7th, for a Rampage dark match, it was Maki Ito and Willow Nightingale defeating the team of Emi Sakura and Megan Bain, if you believe it. So she's already been back through the AEW doors and then went on this Stardom excursion.
They had their chance.
Well, they had the chance, assuming she isn't signed already or whatever, but to like a tier 0 or whatever. But yeah,
she's. From what I know, she isn't.
Yeah, I'm under the same assumption, but you know what I mean.
I've heard there's been some cracklings as to why she wasn't signed, but I can't confirm or deny, so I won't say much more.
What a tease!
But she should be signed.
Yeah,
like she has the same effect that I think a lot of people see in Rhea Ripley in WWE.
Yep.
And, like, obviously they're different characters, but the fact remains the same of like they just have an aura about them.
She has the aura that, for me, that Charlotte Flair used to have. She doesn't really. Charlotte Flair doesn't really have that for me so much anymore, just because she's been, for me, doing the same thing for like a decade. But she
for
like
you, I mean, that's just factually accurate.
If you combine a Rhea Ripley and a Charlotte at a very early stages of her career, Megan Bain, I don't know if she'll reach that high, but
sure.
She has something there for sure.
Yeah, Stardom has killed it with the international talent. Her and Mariah May, I think they could just be very proud of, because truthfully, they probably made those two a lot of money.
Agreed. Completely agreed.
You know that, like, those two, if they're not the future of promotions here eventually, I'd be stunned.
Oh yeah, completely agreed. Just real quick update I just saw on WrestleTix updated on Twitter. AEW All In has officially passed the 80,000 tickets sold for All In Wembley Stadium. So that is
enough. What do you think made the difference?
Gotta be, better be. I don't know.
Soraya, you're so right.
You're right. It's the potential of the bunny. She is the needle mover. But that's 80,000 crossed. The next record they are chasing is the 80,709 ticket attendance set by WWE at WrestleMania 32 attendance. That is 650 tickets to go to reach that. And their last update was 710. So they have 2 weeks to sell 650 tickets.
I can't believe people are still buying tickets.
And they have obviously some more matches to announce. Why
are we still buying tickets?
I don't know. Seems like an interesting show that people are into.
I mean, no, that's not what I meant. I didn't mean it like that. But it's like, I don't know. I feel
there's more people.
A ticket probably already bought their ticket.
That's fair. Maybe these are the people that were smart enough to wait to see what the card will be, and then
that makes me question it a little even more. Then
that's fair. Next match down the line here was the IWGP.
They got to be sold on MJF and
yeah. Aussie Opens on this show? Of course I'm going now.
That would be you.
That would be well, yeah.
You would have been sitting there on Wednesday like, oh,
Aussie
and then
Open.
you saw the graphic. You're like, all right, let me get to the purchase tickets.
Look, man, I mean, part of it is because the strikes are affecting my unemployment and everything. But Duluth, Georgia, coming back around for this AEW tour. Was it? I think it's the in between show between All In All Out or something like that. And they're doing a collision and a dynamite taping, and I'm just thinking to myself, man, I feel like I gotta go to the show, but I don't know if I have the money. I'm kind of waiting to either get to the day of or the day before to see for the ticket drop. Yeah. Second match, semi main here. IWGP Women's Title match. Mayu Iwatani defeats Utami Hayashishita in 21 minutes and 32 seconds. Scotty, you have the floor.
I don't get many big Mayu matches anymore, despite her being, as you just said, the IWGP Women's Champion. So every single one that I get, I appreciate just a little bit more. I'm very happy Mayu kept the belt. I was very much fearing she wouldn't even get that victory one. She wouldn't get that first defense. That finish was picture perfect. The see, people call it the best poison rana ever, essentially, and she just hits it perfectly and is able to fold over onto the pin. Utami hitting the shocking Baszler and it not getting the job done, essentially telling her that the move that she went and figured out isn't enough for her single title aspirations. I appreciate the story of this match. This was the main event style match of the show. Does that makes sense? This was more, though, less, I think a little less Stardom, more a little New Japan-ish in that it was more of a build-up than because Stardom, they'll start a little quicker, they'll get a little more rapid pace. These two are feeling each other out. But obviously I loved it. It shouldn't come as a shock to anyone. I think this match, the main event, and the tag titles were my favorite. I don't think they were easily my matches of the night. Everything else pretty missable in my opinion, which we'll get to in a second. But this match, it was a great start to Mayu's reign. Now I just desperately hope that she doesn't have to wait as long, and hopefully she can get a defense, maybe on a New Japan show eventually, someday. I know it's asking for a lot. I know it is, but with Royal Quest being announced, I doubt it's there. It could be there, but I doubt it's there. So I'm just kind of hope. I don't know what. Again, anytime the IWGP and the strong titles come into conversation, I just don't know what the plan is. And I can tell New Japan doesn't know what the plan is. And I can tell Stardom's just they're making those titles their own now, which they should, because it's really your best bet. But I loved Mayu and Utami. I think I could watch them forever. And I need to talk about you and Julia though, because I need to get something off my chest that I've had in me all day.
Well, yeah, I'll just say that poison run at the end of the Mayu match was unbelievably perfect.
Yeah. When she did the double bounce, and she's not looking, right? I think we have to I need to base that she's not looking. She has no idea if she's gonna hit it. And she hits it perfectly and gets that pin. People are like, "Oh, the shocking finish." I was like, "Well, the only other time she ever hit it, she won." So it wasn't that once she hit it, I was like, "Oh shit." So I was looking at your Duluth tickets while I was.
How are they decently priced? Am I in the doghouse?
$35 ticket.
Well, fees are gonna make it like 70.
Yeah.
I gotta look. I'll look into it.
It's pretty good price though. $35 for a ticket on the bottom bowl.
My hope is that they'll drop further, like day of or day before. That's what I'm hoping.
Give them to me for free.
Now we're talking. Now we're talking. Next match, going down the card here, the New Japan Strong Women's Title match. That is Julia defeating you, not me, you in 19 minutes and 1 second. What did you think about this match?
I'm so done with you in singles matches and
Oh,
stuff.
not me. Sorry.
Done. Finish. Don't
Get
do
it.
them anymore.
Hit the bricks.
I've seen you have great matches.
Mm-hmm.
These last two appearances have done all I need to say. No more of this.
Wow.
It wasn't Julia's fault.
Yeah.
Julia fought from underneath, which doesn't happen all that much, which was weird.
Mm-hmm.
I'll admit that. And I know she did a decent enough job, but yeah, I'm good with the whole you. Not you.
Me?
You, two U's.
I was, I don't know if this is a hot take, extremely bored during this match.
Yeah, I think that's allowed. I just said I wanted to get rid of her.
I was.
You can tell I wasn't like very happy with it.
I was so bored during this match, like 10 minutes too long.
Yeah.
Like,
and it was those first 10 minutes that drove me insane.
Yeah. I think I went like 3 on this. Like, I was just like, there was
the worst Julia singles match I've seen in a long time.
Yeah. There was
most boring for sure.
I think there was good work put in. I think there was effort there, but just like unbearably long. And it didn't help how Stardom is miking their crowds because you don't hear a single thing.
This match suffered the most from it because I think you could hear the crowds in the last 2 matches, like they got through.
Sure.
This match,
dead silence,
which is shocking because it's Julia. Because after when she said she was going to America, they lost their shits.
Yeah.
when she announced that, which I guess is the big talking point.
Yeah, this match was nearly 20 minutes, nearly the longest match of the night, and it was way too long.
It felt like the longest match.
Yeah, it felt like a century, and I was not into this whatsoever.
The worst Julia singles match in a very long time.
Of course, Julia had an announcement to make after the match, which we'll talk about momentarily. Other matches on the show, the Tag Team Goddess of Stardom title match restart. Natsupoi and Sayori Anu were able to defeat the Scotty team of Rose Gold, Mariah May, and Mina Shirakawa in 13 minutes, 24 seconds. I thought this was pretty good.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with this. I just like the Stardom tag team style. I think they just pretty much they get in there, they suplex each other a million times, they hurt each other, they beat the snot out of each other, they get out. It's very entertaining. It's a good
It's a good system. It's a good system.
It's a very good system. And while I wish Mina and Mariah had a longer reign, I will not complain Sayori and Natsupoi as champions because Sayori's been doing incredible work, and Natsupoi is as well. So, bravo, good match. Between this and the last 2, these are my favorite matches of the night. Easily, everything else pretty skippable on the show.
And then, of course, following that, Suzu Suzuki and Sarah.
I think it's Sarah, much like Risa Sarah, just spelled differently.
Okay.
I can understand why you would get that confused, though. It is spelled differently.
Yeah. It's like, what emphasis do I put on this I? They, of course, challenged the new title holders post-match. So
yeah, they sure did. They sure did. That's gonna be class, folks.
That should
be. They sure did. Well, the moment Suzu got up, I was like, finally a Suzu title match. I've been waiting. But yeah, Stardom overall. I don't need to go through the other stuff.
I'll just say real quickly, the rest of the matches were Saki Kashima defeated Koguma, which I thought was good. Not as good, not the best high speed title match. Starlight Kid versus Natsuko Tora, fine. And then I did not watch the Gauntlet tag team match where Suzu Suzuki and Mei Sarah won and then ultimately challenged for the new titles.
Yeah.
Overall,
good effort from Stardom again, but definitely left a little on the table with that Julia Yu match. But when 3 out of the 4 matches that are like the main matches hit, I can't complain.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of good developments moving forward, which of course the big one comes this weekend.
That is true. We'll have the Midsummer Festival is happening this Saturday.
Oh, I meant the I meant the Impact match.
Oh, okay, sure. But the Midsummer Festival is also happening this Saturday. But the Impact match is happening this Sunday. Impact Wrestling New Japan Multiverse United 2, For Whom the Bell Tolls, happening in the 2300 Arena.
I like how you said that. That was good.
Thank you. The card is as follows. We're running out of time here, so I'll just go through this card quickly. The Impact World Title match: Alex Shelley versus Hiroshi Tanahashi. Hiromu Takahashi.
I'm gonna give quick responses to each.
Please do. Oh boy.
Oh boy.
I think that should be interesting. It's going to be a Zack Sabre.
Definitely be interesting.
It'd be Sabre-esque. Hiromu Takahashi and Mike Bailey versus Leo Rush and Trey Miguel. Yeah,
That
baby.
should be good. That should be good.
Sammy Callahan versus Doki. Yeah, baby. Here we go.
Why is that?
Here we go, baby. Doki.
Doki match. That's what we're about, though.
He's going to win a cheesesteak and then shove it into Sammy Callahan's butt. It's going to be good. Eddie Edwards and Moose taking on TMDK, Zack Sabre Jr., and Shane Haste.
That could be pretty good.
Yeah, that should be fine. 12-man tag team match: Bullet Club versus The World, Ace Austin, Alex Coughlin, Chris Bay, Clark Connors, David Finlay, and Kenta versus El Phantasmo, Josh Alexander, PCO, Tamatonga, Tonga Loa, and the DKC. 7-way scramble match: Chris Sabin versus Frankie Kazarian, Bushi, Rich Swann, El Desperado, Mao, and Kevin Knight. What is Mao doing here picking up a booking? Didn't realize he worked for New Japan.
Shout out to Mao. Just get in the spot on this card. They're like, yeah, he's on the Junior Festival. Why not?
Feels like this spot could have gone to somebody else.
The MLO guy would have made more sense to me.
TJP could have made sense, right? He's on the other show. I mean,
that's funny. They're just like, yeah, let's get Mao on here.
Yeah, I saw that announcement. I was like, Mao? All right, I guess.
That's the Miyu Yamashita spot from the last one where they're like, yeah.
Sure. Come along. But that should be interesting. And then, of course, the New Japan Strong Women's Title 4-way match. Julia will be defending her title against Deonna Purrazzo, Giselle Shaw, and Momo Kogo. And that is Multiverse United 2 next Sunday.
Let's play a game real quick.
Sure.
Does Tony Khan book Julia?
No. What kind of question is that? Does he book?
Think you would want Julia on a show?
You would think when Julia comes to the States in Philadelphia, when you're running, I don't know, the East Coast currently, that you can easily get Julia to come in on a Wednesday, right?
Yeah. She has to be back for the 26th, obviously.
She's not coming back for she'll be here for the 20th. She has to be back for the Saturday. So she could work Wednesday. I mean, if anything, here's the thing. If Julia is going to work AEW, it's going to be a Rampage match versus like Sky Blue and defending the New Japan Strong Women's title. That's what it's going to be.
Tommy was on Ring of Honor without her music. So like, what's better?
That's also true. The problem is that Julia will be a title holder. So there's that. Whereas Utami wasn't, I guess, so you can get away with it. But
I'm greatly entertained by these conversations because, guys, folks, people, there's a conversation to be had that Impact was able to book Julia,
and and Momo Kogo. They got two.
Impact was able to book the wrestler that I feel like everyone always talks about. It's like, oh yeah, that would be the one.
And they couldn't get any last year, remember? They only got Miyu Yamashita.
Yeah. That was actually earlier this year. That was WrestleMania weekend.
Sure, but they only got Miyu Yamashita for that. This year, they want to get two Stardom wrestlers. Seems easy enough.
The biggest one.
GCW booked them.
The second biggest one. What? Clearly something's not clicking here.
And you would think when your champ,
you don't want her to show them up, right? Like days before All In, where you have four,
a legendary,
arguably shouldn't be in there.
Legendary 4-way, by the way. Well, the problem is, right, is that like,
There's a lot of problems.
there's a lot of problems, but it's like it's interesting because it's like you would think that like when your women's world champion's like a Joshi wrestler,
Yeah.
and you have a lot of Riho was your first champion and she was very popular, and
Yeah.
you run a main event with Shida in it and it does really well ratings wise, so you do another main event with Shida in it and did fairly well, that you
For
would
an Anna Jay defense, yeah.
yeah, you would think that, hey, maybe Tony Khan likes Joshi wrestlers all of a sudden. It's like,
Not enough.
I get Shayna versus Julia not happening, but
No, I get that too. But like, you could book Emi Sakura and Julia and no one would bat an eye.
Emi Sakura versus Julia on Rampage would actually kick ass. So here's the thing:
Okay.
100%. By the way, 100%. If the match were to happen and Julia would be able to be in AEW, it would 100% be on Rampage. It's not going to be on Dynamite.
Yeah, it's not Dynamite.
It's not Collision or Ring of Honor. Obviously, it would have to be Rampage.
That's the go home. Remember?
Yeah. So,
for All In, their biggest show ever. Timing's
that,
a son of
you're
a
right.
bitch.
You're right. That would be.
Timing's a son of a bitch.
Emi Sakura would be fun.
Ring of Honor it is.
Emi Sakura would be fun, Scotty, but I'm putting my money down on Sky Blue. 100% money down on Sky Blue right now.
I'm just gonna go with I think it happens. Probably, hopefully. I mean, if she's there, you don't book her. If she works one match over there, her first time to America.
Even if she doesn't defend the title, I would love.
I don't care if she defends the title.
No, you know what you could do on Rampage? Here we go. Ready?
I already booked a banger, but that's fine.
Well, I know, but let's say you don't want to defend the title, right? Just repeat the Collision match: Diamante and Mercedes Martinez versus Willow Nightingale and Julia. Just do that one. That's easy.
Yeah.
That's a fun little Rampage match. Some history between Willow and Julia.
That's what we get for trying.
Yeah. Plugs. Outro and plugs. Sorry about that, folks. Outro and plugs. Scotty, where can people find you on the internet, and what was your match of the week? And
you find me on X at Scotty Wrestling. Hit him with the X. You can see me on there. I think that's it. Or Threads, I guess I'm there too. If that's up, I don't think I've looked at Threads in weeks, but it exists.
It's an option. It exists. It's an option.
So you can always follow that, but you can follow me on Twitter at Scotty Wrestling, like I said. Oh boy, match of the week, huh?
It's a toughie.
We'll do Shuri and Natsupoi from the 5-Star Grand Prix at the Kyoto show on the 8th.
Nice. This is nice. I gotta catch up.
I forgot the 5-Star Grand Prix was happening.
Yeah.
So much going on.
I spent so much of my week catching up with New Japan that I'm now behind on.
I had no choice.
Yeah, I'm behind on Noah. I'm behind on Stardom.
I heard Noah finally had a great match in the N1.
I have seen people say that the N1 is good.
I haven't watched the latest day. I've watched every other day.
Okay.
Nakajima and Wagner had a good match.
I could have guessed that one.
But I was told that Shiozaki versus Wagner was.
Wagner, baby. MVP, Wagner.
I read someone that just said Go Shiozaki is back, and I got amped. I was like, that is what I need. I need Noah to be back. And if he says I am Noah, that's the only way Noah gets back.
Agreed. My match of the week is going to be the AEW Dynamite match: Claudio Castagnoli and Jon Moxley versus Phoenix and Pentagon versus Lucha Bros. I thought that was good. That was really good. Plugs. I'm going to say this as a plug: patreon.com/countoutpod. I believe we'll have another episode of Ryan Hasn't Seen Anything out tomorrow on there. But more importantly, if you're not a member of the Patreon, I will respond with this. What are you doing? The Patreon's got a lot of good content from not just Ring Post Radio, but a bunch of the shows on the Count Out Podcast Network, like Okada Shorts, Your Dose of Death. Stardom Road doesn't have anything on there, but maybe eventually one day. Little jab there. But Not only there, but if you are not a subscriber to the Patreon, you can join it for your first 7 days for free to get a taste of what we got. And if you want to deal with all the RSS feed nonsense, well, I got something for you. You can listen to the audio that's on our Patreon. Obviously, we have some videos and all this other stuff, but you can listen to the audio that's on our Patreon on Spotify right now. If you go to Spotify and you search Count Out Patreon feed, you will find it. You can subscribe to it for $5 a month, I presume, and you will be able to listen to all of our audio on Spotify right now. Knowing that I can do that, I'm probably going to go back and make audio versions of all of our Ryan Hasn't Seen Anything episodes, just so we can add that content as well to the feed. But yeah, you can go back right now, go to Spotify, and subscribe to our Patreon through Spotify. Just make it easier on yourself. Don't deal with RSS feed nonsense. Don't look up how to add it to your podcast app. Just go to Spotify.com, I assume, .org, .net. And yeah, subscribe to patreon.com/countoutpod.
Hitting Monday next week, right?
What's that?
We're on Monday next week.
Yes, next week we will be recording another Ring Post Radio Nights on Monday. I already said it earlier in this episode, but this weekend is my bachelor's party, so I will be away from it all. So we'll come back Monday night.
You picked a good week. Not a lot going on.
Yeah, I'm going to miss Real One and some real time action. That's upsetting, but
seeing Punk's like kicked out of AEW again or something.
Oh yeah, there's more and more news coming out about this guy. It's like floodgates opening. But yeah, so I'm gonna take my time and watch some more Noah, watch some more Stardom, and Scotty will talk to us about Multiverse United 2, I guess, and whatever to watch.
Pretty much just me talking and Ryan being like, lead it, just pushing the envelope, pushing the way.
Oh yeah, but even better, we'll be previewing next week as well. All In, of course, at Wembley. And of course, the other big one, Scotty, you can't forget Impact Emergence. Impact Emergence is happening that week as well. Starring Sonata, the IWGP World Champion, baby. Will Evil be making an appearance? Find out.
That'd be so good. Evil should come to the United States.
Evil should replace a real one. That is it for this week's episode of Ring Post Radio Nights. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you have, please leave us a review.
We got nights 3 weeks in a row. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but we have nights 3 weeks in a row.
We didn't have it last week, did we?
No, this week, next week, and then we're going after All In. That'll be our usual episode.
That is true. We have 3 weeks of nights. I need to buy a bottle of wine for myself just to keep up.
And then the week after that, it's All Out. So we're going to record at night again.
That is true. These are all accurate.
Ring Post Radio Nights, so that's a little different.
Yes, that is different. Patreon.com
for my tongue. So goodbye.
Patreon.com/CountOutPod. The only other thing to say, if you like the show, leave a review on your podcast player, iTunes especially. That helps the most for some reason. 5 stars, greatly appreciate it. Follow us on Twitter at CountOutPod and do all this stuff. Oh, whatever. Anything else? Patreon.com/CountOutPod. We got another episode of all that stuff, and I'll figure out the audio, and you get all that on Spotify. Until next week, again, Monday night, probably same time, 7 or 8 o'clock. We'll be live recording, and the episode will come out the day after because I'm going to get my beauty sleep. I think that's it. Scotty, any last thoughts?
Have a good one out there, everyone.